Do you remember when you were a kid and your grandma would say, "Get your butt inside, it's getting dark. Toño Bicicleta is running loose"? We all used to laugh until we found out that dude actually existed. Today, I'm not gonna tell you the same old urban legend everyone repeats. I'm gonna give you the raw truth, the one very few people dare to say out loud. The whole uncensored story of the most feared, most hated, and even if it hurts to admit it, most mythologized criminal Puerto Rico has ever had. Buckle up, because what's coming is heavy, real, and it's gonna keep you up all night thinking hard about it. Ready to start? First, make sure you've already followed me and smash that like button on this video. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Let's get this show on the road. The kid no one saw coming. Let's start from scratch. From way before the name Toño Bicicleta meant sheer terror. Because to understand the monster, you gotta understand the kid no one wanted to look at. Francisco Antonio Garcia Lopez was born on the 19th of July, 1943. The police record says he was in Yauco. The journalist Alexis Morales Cales, who wrote whole books about him, swears he was in the Indiera Alta neighborhood of Maricao. Other old-timers from Leres say he was born right there on a hill that isn't even on the map. No one can get their story straight, and that already tells you everything about how this guy's life started. Lost, forgotten, with no one giving a damn where the heck he was born. His parents, Esteban Garcia Medina and Antonia Lopez Vargas. Esteban was a day laborer, an alcoholic, one of those guys who'd come home drunk and hand out beatings like they were candy. Antonia, his mom, a suffering woman who birthed 7 kids in a wooden and zinc shack with a dirt floor and no electricity. Toño was the second boy. Scrawny, short, always quiet, with a gaze that neighbors described as weird even when he was little. Back then, in the 42nd and 52nd in those hills between Yauco, Maricao, and Lares, there were no roads, no school nearby, nothing. Kids grew up barefoot, worked in the coffee field since they were 6, eating whatever came out of the garden patch or what they hunted. Toño grew up watching his dad come home wasted and beat the tar out of his mom. He grew up watching his siblings starve. He grew up seeing that nobody, absolutely nobody, cared about them. And that's when the famous bicycle shows up. An old rusted bike, no brakes, that an uncle gave him or that he found dumped somewhere, no one really knows. But since he was a little tyke, everyone saw him riding that bike up and down the dirt roads. That's where the nickname was born, Toño Bicicleta, Toño Bicicle. Some say it's because he was always riding it. Others say it's because he jacked the bike when he was a kid and never gave it up. Either way, that name stuck to him like a curse, and it would follow him until the day he was killed. In his early 20s, he married Antonia Rivera Ramos. They had 3 kids, Francisco Antonio, Maria Milagros, and Carmen Dolores. On the outside, he seemed like a normal farmer. He worked the field, went to church on Sundays, and greeted everyone. But inside, something dark was brewing. Neighbors said they sometimes see him talking to himself, staring blankly at a spot out of it. That when he got drunk, he got aggressive real quick. He already had a reputation as a womanizer and a guy who didn't like being crossed. And then along came Gloria Esther Soto Colon, the mistress, the woman who would unleash the first bloodbath and change Puerto Rico's history forever, the first machete, the crime that woke everything up. It's 1968, Toño is exactly 25 years old. He has a mistress, Gloria Esther Soto Colon. One ordinary day, in a shack deep in Castañer, jealousy blinds him. He goes in, argues, pulls out the machete, and literally hacks her to pieces. He decapitates her. When the neighbors arrive, the scene is so brutal that several of them puke right there on the spot. They catch him, judge him in a flash, and bam, 185 years in prison. At that moment, all of Puerto Rico thought, problem solved. Big mistake. In March 1970, he's moved to La Pica Penal Camp in Jayuya. 21 days later, he vanishes. No one knows how. Some say he jumped off a cliff, others that the guards let him walk. The thing is, Toño Bicicleta was loose again, and the entire island was freaking out with fear. The first escape that paralyzed Puerto Rico. The 4th of March 1970. Toño has been locked up for 2 years. He's moved from the Rio Piedras Penitentiary to La Pica Penal Camp in Jayuya. It was an open camp, the kind that gave good behavior inmates some trust. Barely 21 days after arriving, he disappears. 21 days, not even a full month. No one knows exactly how he made his getaway. Some say he jumped down a steep, thorny ravine. Others say the guards cut him a break because they were scared of him or because he paid them off. Others swear he simply hid inside a garbage truck leaving the camp. The bottom line is, one fine day the guards do the head count, and one is missing. And that one was Toño Bicicleta. When the news hit El Vocero, the whole of Puerto Rico felt their soul drop to the floor, because he wasn't just some regular killer anymore. He was a killer who had played the system for a fool. And that's when the real terror began. From 1970 to 1974, Toño was lost in the woods like he owned the whole Central Mountain Range. And the rumor started spreading faster than cars on the highway. Toño rape sonso in Yauco. Toño broke into a house in Maricao and snatched the girl. Toño is riding a black bike with no lights. If you see it, run like hell. Back then, there were no cell phones, no social media, no security cameras. The mountain was his. People stopped going out after 6 in the evening. Mothers wouldn't let their daughters go alone, not even to the outhouse. And every time there was a break-in, a rape, or a disappearance in the western or central part of the island, everyone said the same thing. That was Toño Bicicleta. And it wasn't always a lie, because there are confirmed cases. Lucelenia Caraballo and Aurea Esther Camacho were two women who pointed to Toño directly as the one who kidnapped and raped them in the 70 seconds. Both survived, but with a 1,000-yard stare forever. The police hunted him with helicopters, dogs, and hundreds of agents. But Toño knew every trail, every cave, every abandoned farm. He moved at night, slept during the day, ate green bananas, and whatever he stole from houses. And when someone saw him and called the cops, by the time they got there, Toño was already 3 towns away, pedaling silently down the dirt roads. That first escape lasted 4 years, 4 months, and 8 days. Until one day in '74, a farmer recognized him working on a farm in the Guaraguao neighborhood of Ponce. The man didn't call the police. He grabbed him himself with the help of the neighbors, tied him up, and handed him over. They locked him up again, and here comes the second trial. The 19th of March, 1975, Mayagüez Superior Court. Toño pleads guilty to 3 counts of first-degree burglary, 2 counts of grand theft, 1 of petty theft, 6 rapes, and multiple weapons violations. Total, 186 years in prison, almost 2 centuries. People breathe easy again. He's never getting out now. Mistake number 2, the second escape, Olga's kidnapping, and the mayor's robbery. Toño is put in the Sabana Hoyos prison in Arecibo. There, he meets an evangelical sister who came to give Bible workshops. Toño sweet talks her, they get married inside the jail with a cake and everything, and they even get conjugal visits. But Toño doesn't change. The 19th of September 1981, broad daylight, he bolts again, second escape. That very night, he shows up at the house of Olga Iris Despiau Caban, an ex-girlfriend. He puts a knife to the neck of her bedridden father and tells her, "You're coming with me, or I kill the old man." Olga goes with him. 3 years kidnapped in the woods. In 1984, the police conduct a major operation. Toño hops on his bike and flees, leaving Olga behind. She is rescued and charged as an accomplice. Months later, Toño comes back, finds her, and takes her again. Second kidnapping. Her family manages to rescue her and sends her to the States so he can never find her again. Meanwhile, in 1984, Toño breaks into the house of the mayor of Maricao, Gilberto Pérez Valentín. He takes silver coins, food, a machete, a flashlight, and a Smith & Wesson 45 caliber pistol the mayor had stashed away. That same gun shows up 11 years later, the day he is killed. And that's how the true reign of terror begins. Because after this second escape, Toño wasn't just an escaped convict anymore. He was the ghost of the mountain that no one could catch. When Toño killed his own blood, Toño has been on the run for 6 years after the second escape. No one in the western center of the island is sleeping soundly anymore. But what no one imagined was that the monster would turn against his own family. One random day in '87, Toño shows up at his mom's house, Antonia Lopez Vargas in Lares. Her stepfather, Antonio Caraballo Gonzalez, an 83-year-old sick man who could barely walk, also lived there. No one knows exactly what went down inside the house, but neighbors heard screaming and then saw smoke. When they rushed over, they found the old man Caraballo macheted and burned in the yard. Toño had hacked him with the machete, dragged him outside, and poured gasoline on him to burn him alive, or nearly alive. His mom, Antonia, saw everything. She managed to bolt barefoot, screaming, and hid at a neighbor's house. Toño didn't chase her, but he didn't chill out either. The next day, he shows up at the house of his uncle, Pablo Lopez Vargas, in Maricao. The uncle lets him in because, well, it's family. Toño asks for food, asks to hang out for a bit. The old man tells him no, the police are already looking for him because of the stepfather, and he doesn't want any trouble. Toño flies off the handle. He sets the house on fire. When the uncle runs out, engulfed in flames, Toño is waiting outside and shoots him dead. In less than 48 hours, he killed his stepfather and his uncle. His own blood. That day, Puerto Rico understood that there were no limits anymore. He wasn't just a rapist or a thief. He was a full-blown psycho who didn't even respect the family who raised him. After that, even the farmers who used to help him started to be genuinely scared of him, because if he killed his own people, what wouldn't he do to a stranger? 8 years no one should live. The full story of Diana Perez Lebron. The 31st of January 1988, Diana Perez Lebron is 14 years old. She's with her boyfriend Luis Enrique Rodriguez Perez, 17, by the riverbank, in the Rincón Pozo neighborhood of Sabana Grande. It's night, they're alone, doing some innocent teenage kissing, thinking no one sees them. Suddenly, they hear a bicycle approaching with no lights. It's Toño. He gets off the bike, pulls out the Smith Wesson .45 pistol he stole from the mayor of Maricao back in '84, and, without saying a word, shoots Luis Enrique in the head right in front of Diana. The boy drops dead instantly. Diana is paralyzed, staring at the body of her first love lying on the ground with his head split open. Toño grabs her arm, puts her on the bike, and takes her to the woods. Just like that. And that's where the longest hell on earth in Puerto Rico's criminal history begins. 8 years. 8 years. Diana lived 8 years chained by the ankles like a dog. Toño would put a long chain with a padlock on her so she could walk a little but not escape. When they slept, the chain was tied to a tree or a stake. If it rained on both of them. If it was sunny, the sun was on both of them. They ate what he hunted or stole. Green bananas, yams, whatever. Diana later recounted that Toño raped her every day, sometimes several times a day, that he beat her up for anything. That one time she tried to escape, ran down the mountain, but he caught her, threw her to the ground, and gave her a beating so brutal it left her unconscious. When she woke up, Toño was piling dirt on her because he thought she was dead. She had to scream at him, "I'm alive, don't bury me," for him to stop. Another time, he forced her to read out loud the newspapers where he was featured as the most wanted fugitive. Toño would laugh and say, "Look, that's me, the biggest SOB of them all, and you're mine." 80 years without seeing her family. 80 years without a proper shower, without clean clothes, without knowing if she would still be alive the next day. 8 years watching Toño become more and more paranoid, more violent, more insane. And the worst part, 8 years where the whole of Puerto Rico knew Toño had a girl kidnapped, and no one could find her. Meanwhile, in Sabana Grande, since neither Diana's body nor Toño's appeared, the police grabbed the closest person, Ivan Cruz Ortiz, Diana's stepfather. They accused him of killing Luis Enrique and making the girl disappear. In 1989, he was sentenced to 109 years in prison, 109 years for a crime he didn't commit, while the real killer was walking free with the girl chained up in the woods. Diana became a victim twice, first of Toño, and then of the system that pointed fingers at her and her family instead of actually looking for her. Subscribe if you dig the video, fam. This is heavy and the worst part is still coming. Hit that button and stick around till the end. I swear it's worth it. The 29th of November 1995, the day Puerto Rico woke up after 14 years on the run. Toño was tired, skinny, but still alive. He hid by working as a day laborer on coffee farms, cutting his hair differently, growing a mustache, passing himself off as a regular farmer, but someone recognized him. The 29th of November 1995, 7:20 inches the morning, a coffee farm in the Arbona sector, Castañer, Lares. A confidential tip calls the police. Toño is right there, picking coffee like it's no big deal. Dozens of agents arrive. They surround the area, set fire to part of the woods so he can escape. Toño runs out with the machete in his hand. Agent Luis Rosa Merced blasts him with a shotgun in the genitals. Official version: he lunged, it was self-defense. Diana's version: who was there, they killed him wounded. They kicked him and mocked him while he bled out. 3 hours later, he dies. They found $1,114 in cash, the .45 pistol stolen from the mayor of Maricao in 1984, a machete, a blue comb, and Vicks Vaporub for the mosquitoes. He weighed 130 pounds, stood 5 feet 2 inches tall, a tiny dude, but he terrorized an entire island for 14 years. A small man who had an entire island on his knees for 14 years. They load him onto a stretcher, put him in the hearse, and the longest manhunt in Puerto Rico's memory is over. But the story isn't over, because what happened next at the funeral is gonna blow your mind. We'll talk about that in the next segment. Stay put. This ain't over yet. The funeral thousands attended. The day Puerto Rico went nuts. When Toño's body arrived at the Irizarry funeral home in Lares, no one imagined what was about to happen. He was just a random dead guy, 5 feet 2 inches, 130 pounds, a shot to the genitals, thin face, sparse mustache. But he wasn't just any dead guy. He was Toño Bicicleta. The news spread like wildfire. They killed him, and the whole of Puerto Rico mobilized. From Mayagüez, from Ponce, from San Sebastián, from Arecibo, people grabbed buses, public cars, rode in the back of trucks. Old people came, women, little kids, even off-duty cops. The funeral home opened its doors at 10 inches the morning. By 11, the line was wrapped around the block. By 2 inches the afternoon, the police had to close the street because there was no room for anyone else. In the end, it's estimated that more than 3,000 people showed up. 3,000. Just to give you a sense, Lares had about 30,000 residents at the time. That means 1 out of every 10 people in the area went to see him. And these weren't people crying out of grief. They were curious, morbid people who wanted to snap a photo with the coffin, people who brought flowers, and even a floral arrangement shaped like a bicycle. Yeah, a giant bicycle made of red and white carnations that they put on top of the casket. There were women saying, "Poor thing, what an injustice." Men saying, "That was a real man. He beat the police for 14 years." 12-year-old kids who never saw him alive posing next to the dead man like he was a trophy. The journalists from El Vocero and El Nuevo Día couldn't believe it. One wrote, "It was a rock star's wake, but the rock star was a rapist and murderer." And he was right. While thousands were paying tribute, Dahiana Perez Lebron was still trembling in a corner, trying to process the fact that she was finally free. While thousands brought flowers, Olga Iris Despió Caban was still afraid to go outside in case someone recognized her as Toño's woman. While thousands were taking selfies with the corpse, Dahiana's stepfather Ivan Cruz Ortiz was still locked up for a murder he never committed. And the hardest part, at the municipal cemetery in Lares, when they lowered the coffin, people applauded, like he was a hero who had just won a fight. Some yelled, "Long live Toño Bicicleta." Others sang snippets of the Tony Croato song. And so, with applause and flowers, they buried the man who had decapitated Gloria Esther Soto, who had burned his stepfather alive, who had chained a 4-year-old girl for 8 years. That day, Puerto Rico looked in the mirror and did not like what it saw, because it wasn't just a funeral. It was proof that the island, deep down, had turned the monster into a myth. And that hurts more than any machete chop. The myth that ate the truth, songs, movies, and the question no one wants to answer. Check it out. When they killed Toño in 95, the guy kept living. Alive on the radio, alive at parties, alive in dinner table conversations, alive in the mouths of grandmas when they want to scare their grandkids. And that's the messed up part of it all. In the 70 seconds, when he was still loose the first time, Tony Croato and his sister Nelly released La Bicicleta de Toño, Toño's bicycle. A catchy, semi-comic song that played on every station. People sang the chorus on buses, in line, at the corner store, at birthday parties. I mean, while women were disappearing in the woods, the whole of Puerto Rico was dancing to a song about the guy who was making them disappear. In the 90 seconds, when Toño was already the island's official phantom, more songs came out. La Mancha del Jardín dedicated a whole track to him. Toño Bicicleta. Puya mentioned him in El Chupacabra like he was just another Puerto Rican monster. Yorguistas y Borrachos, a Puerto Rican Spanish thrash metal band, released another Toño Bicicleta with distorted guitar and screams. Watusi, Yawo, and Randy, and Yengo Flow dropped his name in Dale Palpiso. Even Temperamento, in a brutal diss track against Tego Calderón, threw out, "You're so ugly that even Toño wouldn't lend you his bike." In 2007, Calle 13 put Toño in La Crema alongside the flag, the Coquí, a famous frog, and Lechon Asao, roast pig, like he was just another Puerto Rican symbol. And not just music. In 1978, a Frenchman living in Puerto Rico, Georges Londres, wrote a whole novel in French called Toño Bicicleta. It was later translated into Spanish. In the late 90 seconds, a Puerto Rican movie came out, La Noche que se apareció Toño Bicicleta, The Night Toño Bicicleta showed up. Books, neighborhood plays, jokes, sayings. Toño became part of the island's cultural inventory. And here comes the question no one wants to answer out loud. Why the hell did Puerto Rico turn a murderer, rapist, and kidnapper into a popular icon? Some say it was because he got away with it for 14 years against the police, that he was the poor country boy against the system, that he was the Robin Hood of the mountain who stole from the rich and mock the powerful. But that's total BS. Toño didn't steal from the rich, he stole food, clothes and pistols, he didn't help anyone, he raped, killed and kidnapped. He wasn't a rebel with a cause, he was a psycho with a machete. Others say it was because he was in El Vocero every single day for 14 years straight. Cover after cover, Toño attacks again, Toño seen in Sabana Grande, Toño is still loose. People got used to seeing him like a soap opera character. He became familiar. And what's familiar, even if it's terrifying, ends up being embraced. And there are those who say we just love the morbid stuff, that we like having a real-life boogeyman, a devil with a name and a surname, that it makes us proud to say, in Puerto Rico, even the criminals are the baddest mother. But the truth is uglier. While Toño was becoming a song and a movie, Gloria Esther Soto was still decapitated. Diana Perez Lebron was still chained up for 8 years. Olga Iris Despio Caban was still being pointed out on the street. Ivan Cruz Ortiz was still an innocent man locked up. And Lucelenia, Oria, Esther, and so many others were still having nightmares. The myth ate the victims. And even today, 30 years later, there are people who bring flowers to Toño's grave in Lares, and no one brings flowers to the places where those women suffered. That, my friend, that's what's left when a monster becomes a legend. The monster keeps winning, even if he's 6 feet under. And there you have it, the complete story of Toño Bicicleta. No filter, no sugarcoating, and no romanticizing anything. A man who was born poor, rotted inside and rotted half of Puerto Rico with him. If this video hit you hard, made you mad, scared you, or simply got you thinking, leave a comment telling me what part hit you the hardest. Share this video with someone who still thinks Toño was some kind of Robin Hood, because we need to name the victims. Subscribe if you like the video, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you on the next street story no one else dares to tell like we do. Take care, everyone, and lock your doors tight. You never know. Blessings.